Okay.
All right. I'll call this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for Calvin Monaghan to order. Has everyone seen the agenda? The first item of business, as always, is disclosure of any conflict or pecuniary interest in any of the applications today. Are there any?
None here. None
declared. Move on to the second item, which is the minutes from the previous meeting of September 24th. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding those minutes? Any changes?
They look good.
All right. Then I'd ask for a motion to approve those minutes.
I can.
All right, and second.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Moving on to item 4, which is the first of our applications regarding Bromont Homes and one of 2, I think, side-by-side properties.
Yeah.
I'll turn it over to Christina.
Good morning. Thank you, committee members, and those of you joining us for this online public meeting. This is the public meeting for minor variance application MV08-20, and the committee has before them planning report number 2020-36. So I'm running the screen here too, so bear with me. Okay, this application applies to lands located at 861 Fallis Line as shown on this attachment. The application was applied for by Brent Smith of RN Design Limited on behalf of Bromont Homes Millbrook Inc. The application was received by the township on September 21st, 2020 and deemed complete on October 5th, 2020. The variance is required to permit the construction of a new single detached dwelling with attached 3-car garage. The grading plan showing the location of the dwelling is provided in attachment number 2. The subject property is a vacant lot in an approved plan of subdivision. The lot has 13.72 meters of frontage on Fallis Line, has a depth of 35.28 meters and a total lot area of 485.16 square meters. A single detached dwelling with attached 3-car garage is proposed for the subject property. The developer has requested relief from the interior side yard setback in order to provide a more desirable, detailed streetscape for the row of lots fronting on Fallis Line and to accommodate a 3-car garage on the subject site. The subject property is zoned Urban Residential 1, Subzone A, Exception 4, which requires a minimum interior side yard of 1.2 meters. After extending the dwelling to the east to accommodate the 3rd garage port, the model will encroach into the required 1.2 meter side yard setback and cannot be located on the lot in accordance with the existing zoning regulations. As proposed, the east side yard, this yard, abutting the attached garage will be 0.56 meters. The reduced side yard is proposed adjacent to the garage of a similar model of home proposed for 863 Fallis Line and the subject of minor variance application MV09-20. The purpose of the minor variance is to reduce the minimum east interior side yard requirement in the Urban Residential 1 Subzone A Exception 4 zone from 1.2 meters to 0.56 meters. All other standard regulations of the Urban Residential 1 Subzone A Exception 4 zone will apply to the subject property. Notice of the application was circulated by first class prepaid mail to all assessed persons within 60 meters of the subject lands, to all ministries and agencies, and to all department directors. A sign was posted on the subject property, and the notice of public meeting was posted on the township website. The notice complies with the requirements of the Planning Act. To date, the Planning Department has not received any written comments about the proposed variance from members of the public. Township staff had no objections to the application. The Autonomy Region Conservation Authority did not have any concerns with the proposed variance, stating that the application is consistent with section 3.1 of the provincial policy statement referencing natural hazards and sections 2.1 and 2.2 of the PPS referencing natural heritage and water. Orca indicated that permits will not be required from their agency for the proposed development, and the subject property is not within an area that is subject to the policies contained in the Trent Source Protection Plan. As presented to you today, Planning Report 2020-36 provides an analysis of the proposal and concludes the application satisfies Section 45 of the Planning Act, which outlines the 4 tests the application must have regard to in order for the committee to authorize a variance from the provisions of the bylaw. Report 2020-36 recommends that the Committee of Adjustment review and consider all verbal and written comments regarding this application and that the committee approve application MV-08-20. Believe the applicant, Brent Smith, is present today should there be any questions or comments. And with that, I'll turn the application back to you, Chairman Semple, for any questions from the committee or the public.
All right. Are there any questions from members of the committee regarding this application?
I was just curious that that this is the only spot in the whole development where they have 2 houses with 3-car garages. A particular reason it's on Fallis Line, and will there be other ones in the phase 2 that's north of Fallis Line?
Thank you, through you, Chairman Semple. So I believe that the reason for the 3-car garages on Fallis Line is to assist with accommodating vehicles on the subject property as opposed to being parking on the street. So they want to make sure that we're not going to have any additional traffic congesting the street, particularly on Fallis Line, which is a major artery in the township. As far as whether they have any other proposed 3-car garages, I'm not aware of any at the moment, but I can say that within that subdivision, there are lots that do have a 0.6 meter side yard setback adjacent to a garage. So the reduction in side yard setback is not unusual for the subdivision. The 3-car garage is new because of the frontage on Fallis Line.
Okay. So it's not like they have some potential buyer wanting a 3-car garage. They've just decided to build one, too?
It could very well be that they have a purchaser interested in wanting a 3-car garage. I'm not sure if Brent Smith, the agent, could speak to that. We don't get that history during the submission of the application.
Okay.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good morning. Yeah. Yeah, just so there will be no more 3-car garages proposed on the Fallis Line here, to answer that question. But yeah, pretty much the client wants to provide like a better visual streetscape along Fallis Line, because it is, yeah, those row of lots entering the site. And it just looks better as like the 3-car garage for that particular model. It is a smaller model that they wanted to use, but they also want to do the 3-car garage there for those 2 lots.
Okay.
Any other questions from the committee?
Yeah, I just had a quick question as well. I just wanted to know, just for certainty, when I'm looking at the site plan, is it certain that the 2 lots, 863 and 861, that the layout will be that shows on the site plan with the two garages facing each other, or that it's sort of a mirror, I guess, almost?
Talking about, are you speaking to like how they're paired, like the paired garage? driveways.
Just with the garages, the way the garages are, you know, side by side essentially on the two lots, like there's no chance, I guess, that the either of them would develop the other way with the garage on the other side of the dwelling, like that the two garages would mirror each other.
No, because I think, for example, the lot 120 on the right-hand side, there's a street light, so there's no chance of flipping it to the other side. And my understanding is that the services are already installed there, so I guess if you flip the other one as well, the water connection would be in the driveway, which is something that we try to avoid on the site if we can. But yeah.
No, I just wonder because I think from an impediment on the neighboring property, at least if it's the way it is, as it shows on the site plan, one counteracts the other essentially, where you know they both have the same. I mean, where it approaches the sight line is the same on both properties, so that's good.
Any other questions? I just had one question. What about access to the backyard on these properties? Would they have to go around the other side then? Or is there enough room in between the two?
Yes, you're correct. They will likely have to go around the other side of each of those two properties. There still is sufficient room between the two, but there's added space on either side. And just to go back to the point about the garages being adjacent to each other, because that is an important point. This is the approved site plan that is and will be accepted by the building department when they go to issue the permit.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll be specific in that that's the reduced the west and the east interior side yard setbacks.
Just out of curiosity, Christine, is the 0.56 meters measuring from brick wall to brick wall, or is that the eaves trough to eaves trough?
It's my understanding it's to the brick wall.
Okay,
Yes, yeah, to the brick wall.
so it's about a 2-foot space between them.
Correct.
0.56 meters. Wow, it's tight, eh?
All right. Any other questions or comments from the committee?
No.
Are there any questions or comments from members of the public, including the applicant?
No, not at this time.
All right. It's been recommended, I think, that we approve this with no conditions. I'm just wondering if anyone has any concern about that. No? Then I would ask for a motion to approve the application with no conditions.
Motion to approve.
And that was Aaron, and second,
Okay,
Dave, and all in favor? Passed. All right, thank you. Now we'll move on to the adjacent property. The second one, which I think is 861, is it?
This one's 863.
863. The other one was 861. Sorry.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
I want to turn it over to you, Christina.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Semple. So, and to those of you joining us for this online public meeting, this is the public meeting for minor variance application MV09-20, and the committee has before them Planning Report 2020-37. This application applies to lands located at 863 Fallis Line. The application was applied for by Brent Smith of RN Design Limited on behalf of Bromont Homes Millbrook Incorporated. The application was received by the township on September 21st, 2020, and deemed complete on October 5th, 2020. The variance is required to permit the construction of a new single detached dwelling with attached 3-car garage. The grading plan showing the location of the dwelling is provided. The subject property is a vacant lot in an approved plan of subdivision. This lot has 14.03 meters of frontage on Fallis Line, has a depth of 35.11 meters and a total lot area of 493.97 square meters. The single detached dwelling with attached 3-car garage is proposed for this property. The developer has requested relief from the interior side yard setback in order to provide a more desirable and detailed streetscape for the row of lots fronting on Fallis Line and to accommodate a 3-car garage on the subject site. The subject property is zoned urban residential 1, subzone A, exception 4, excuse me, which requires a minimum interior side yard of 1.2 meters. After extending the dwelling west to accommodate the 3rd garage port, the model will encroach into the 1.2 meter side yard setback and cannot be located on the lot in accordance with the existing zoning bylaw regulation. As proposed, the west side yard abutting the attached garage will be 0.87 meters. The reduced side yard is proposed adjacent to the garage of a similar model of home proposed for 861 Fallis Line and the subject of the previous minor variance application MV-08-20. So the purpose of the minor variance is to reduce the minimum west interior side yard requirement in the urban residential 1, subzone A, exception 4 zone from 1.2 meters to 0.87 meters. All other standard regulations of the urban residential 1, subzone A, exception 4 zone will apply to the property. Notice of this application was circulated by first class prepaid mail to all assessed persons within 60 meters of the subject property, to all required ministries and agencies, and to all township department directors. A sign was posted on the subject property and a notice of public meeting was posted on the township website. The notice complies with the requirements of the Planning Act. To date, the Planning Department has not received any written comments about the proposed variance from members of the public. Township staff had no objections to the application. Similarly, the Otonabee Region Conservation Authority did not have any concerns with the proposed variance, stating that the application is consistent with Section 3.1 of the provincial policy statement referencing natural hazards and Sections 2.1 and 2.2 referencing natural heritage and water. ORCA indicated that permits will not be required from their agency for the proposed development, and the subject property is not within an area that is subject to the policies contained in the source protection plan. As presented to you today, Planning Report 2020-37 provides an analysis of the proposal and concludes the application satisfies Section 45 of the Planning Act, which outlines the 4 tests the application must have regard to in order for the committee to authorize a minor variance from the provisions of the bylaw. Report 2020-37 recommends that the Committee of Adjustment review and consider all verbal and written comments received regarding this application, and that the committee approve minor variance application MV-09-20. As you know, Brent Smith, the applicant, is here if there are any questions regarding this application. And with that, I'll turn it back to Chairman Semple for any questions from the committee or the public.
Thank you. Are there any other questions regarding this particular application from the members?
No, none for me.
It's just a curiosity, Brent, if you're still there, when phase 2 goes through, are you planning to put a number of these paired 3-car homes on the north side of Fallis Line? Or is he not there?
But yeah, currently like our RN design doesn't design for that phase. So I can't say for sure, but these are kind of like lot specifics, like we deal with them per lot basis. So I don't see them doing it often, but I can't speak to anything north of Fallis Line.
It just seems interesting that one of the rationales for doing this is for the possibility that people might be parking on Fallis Line, but all the other homes on Fallis Line are 2-car garage.
I'm going to ask that we keep the conversation specific to the application, okay?
Okay.
Any response from Brent Smith to Dave's question? Specific to this?
I could make, sorry to interrupt, Chairman Semple, perhaps I could just jump in for one moment and just to say that with respect to the phase on the north side of Wallace Line, there will be a public process. So that application hasn't gone to the public for that plan of subdivision yet. So if that is something that council is concerned about, then they could speak to that at the time that the application comes forward.
Okay,
Thank you, Christine.
thanks.
Any other questions from the members?
No.
Any questions again from the public, including the applicant?
Nope, not at this time.
No. All right. Again, as in the previous application, the recommendation is to approve it with no conditions. There aren't any objections to it. I would ask for a motion to approve then.
I can do that, Mike.
Yeah, Dave. And second, Aaron.
Second that.
All in favor? Passed. Very good. Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to the third and final application, which I believe is on 92 King Street West in Millbrook. Turn it over to Christina as well.
Thank you. Let's get us there. Okay, thank you, committee members, and those of you joining us for this online public meeting. This is the public meeting for minor variance application MV-1020, and the committee has before them planning report number 2020-38. This application applies to lands located at 92 King Street West. The application was applied for by Rick Prescator and Francis Wood. The application was received by the township on September 30th, 2020, and deemed complete on October 7th, 2020. The subject property is in an existing lot of record with a single detached dwelling and attached sunroom. The property has 59 feet of frontage on King Street West, has a depth of 165 feet and a total lot area of 0.22 acres. The owners of the property wish to construct a 480 square foot detached garage in the front yard and in front of the house. At a future date, the owners also wish to pave the driveway and construct a 240 square foot covered porch across the front of the house. This property is located within the village of Millbrook in the urban settlement area and was created by severance through Peterborough County Land Division file number B-162-87. The property is zoned urban residential 1 and is located within the source water protection area. The property is also located within the Oak Ridges Moraine and within an area identified as a Category 1 landform conservation area. Development within the Oak Ridges Moraine that is not within a settlement area must meet particularly stringent review and approval standards to ensure the moraine is protected. However, since settlement areas are recognized as locations where growth and development should be directed, the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan allows the approval authority to consider the importance of adopting planning, design, and construction practices that will keep disturbance to a minimum as it applies to landform character, if possible. For lands within a Category 1 landform conservation area, the zoning bylaw requires that the net developable area of the site that is disturbed must not exceed 25% of the total site area, and the net developable area of the site that has impervious surfaces must not exceed 15% of the total site area. The total area of the subject property that will be developed and have impervious surfaces is proposed to be approximately 3,080 square feet. The bylaw defines net developable area as the area of a lot or site less any area that is within a key natural heritage feature or a hydrologically sensitive feature. There are none of those on this property. The bylaw defines impervious surface as a surface that does not permit the infiltration of water, such as a rooftop, sidewalk, paved roadway, driveway, or parking lot. A variance is required to increase the maximum amount of the net developable area of the site that is disturbed from 25% to 33%, and to increase the maximum amount of the net developable area of the site that has impervious surfaces from 15% to 33%. Due to the narrowness of the lot, a variance is also required to permit the detached garage to be located in the front yard and in front of the house. For accessory structures such as a detached garage, the zoning bylaw requires a minimum front yard setback of 6 meters, provided that no accessory building or structure be located in front of the house. All other standard regulations of the urban residential 1 zone will apply to the property. Notice of the application was circulated by first-class prepaid mail to all assessed persons within 60 meters of the subject lands, to all ministries and agencies, and to all township department directors. A sign was posted on the subject property, and the notice of public meeting was posted on the township website. The notice complies with the requirements of the Planning Act. To date, the Planning Department has not received any written comments about the proposed variance from members of the public. Township staff had no objections to the application. However, the Planning Department staff have requested that the design of the garage include windows on the south side facing King Street West to minimize the prominence of the garage on the streetscape and to improve the visual aesthetic of the wall closest to the street. The Otonabee Region Conservation Authority had no objection to the application, noting that the application is consistent with Section 3.1 of the Provincial Policy Statement, referencing natural hazards, and Sections 2.1 and 2.2, referencing natural heritage and water. This subject property is within an area that is subject to the policies contained in the Trent Source Protection Plan. The required notice under the Clean Water Act has been issued by the risk management official for the minor variance and for the building permit. The portion of the property subject to the proposed development is outside the area regulated under the authority's development and interference with wetlands and alterations to shorelines and watercourses, and therefore permits from ORCA will not be required for the proposed development. Since King Street West is maintained by the County of Peterborough, following the writing of my report, comments were received from the County of Peterborough Infrastructure Services Department. Peterborough County ISD commented that an entrance permit application will be required to be filled out and submitted to the attention of the engineering technician of the county prior to the paving or any variation of the existing entrance. Regarding the detached garage and covered porch across the front of the house, the County of Peterborough stated that in built-up areas, the minimum front yard and minimum setback from the county road shall be the average established building line. The average established building line within the subject area is approximately 10 feet from lot line, and according to the minor variance application, the proposed garage is 20 feet away from the lot line. Therefore, the proposed detached garage and covered porch would meet the County of Peterborough's setback requirements. As presented to you today, Planning Report 2020-38 provides an analysis of the proposal and concludes the application satisfies Section 45 of the Planning Act, which outlines the 4 tests the application must have regard to in order for the committee to authorize a minor variance from the provisions of the bylaw. Report 2020-38 recommends that the Committee of Adjustment review and consider all verbal and written comments received regarding this application, and that the committee approve minor variance application MV-10-20 with the condition that the design of the garage include windows on the south side facing King Street West. I believe the applicant, Rick Prescator, is present today. Should there be any questions or comments? And with that, I will turn the application back to Chairman Semple for any questions from the committee or public.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on this application from members of the committee?
I did just have
I just had a question.
Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I just wanted to make sure the proposed garage, I guess it does meet the zoning bylaw requirements for the side yard setback too. I'm just noticing it looks, I just wanted to ensure that it was also within the side yard setbacks. I guess it's 0.5 feet.
Thank you, through you. Yes, it will meet the side yard setback, which they've given a little bit extra, but 6.56 feet is the required setback for a detached garage.
Dave, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, in terms of the impervious surface, is there a diagram showing where the paved driveway will be? So when I drove by, there was 3 cars parked in front of the house, and it looks like at least two wide driveway.
So at this point, we don't have any information regarding how much of or where the paved driveway will occur. Excuse me. We allocated for essentially when we were doing the calculation, what is existing in terms of the gravel driveway. And so we took in this area, if you can see my cursor on the mapping. We also included the little walkway to the house.
Any other questions from the committee?
No.
Now, if we approve this as recommended, will that include the future plans that the owner has for the driveway and the porch?
That's
Or
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they were to come back with a proposal that included more than what we've allocated for a paved driveway or a larger covered front porch, then the applicant would have to apply for another minor variance, excuse me, another minor variance application and go through the process again. So what we've done is try to include and incorporate their future plans. If they want to exceed what's been if the committee chooses to grant the application today, then they would have to submit another minor variance application and go through the process again.
But as long as they stay within those parameters, they're fine with this one.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, the windows facing the street that are being recommended, does that mean the garage is oriented the other way and not facing the street?
So no, the intent is so that the garage will be oriented, the longer would be across with the entrance to the garage coming in off of the driveway. But so the longer wall of the garage will be the one that faces the street. And because of the urban design principles and the fact that this is an urban area, we wanted to ensure that that garage will have some more curb appeal essentially. In particular for the homes across the street, which are pretty much right on the street. So that was the intent.
Thank you. Looking at the lot next door, that I think is to the east, if I'm looking at it correctly.
Yeah.
There seems to be something in the front yard there. I mean, very similar houses, very similar lots, really. Is that a garage there? Do you know?
Thank you, Chairman Semple. No, I asked the same question from this air photo. It did look like there might have been maybe one of the coverall type garage structures there. When I did a site visit, there is nothing in that location. But you're right, these are almost identical houses. So it looks like there's something there on the air photo, but when I did the site visit, there was nothing there.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, because they're going to look very similar, perhaps. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the committee?
In terms of the windows on the garage, Christina, is there a specific amount of window they want, or one little small window would comply?
We didn't specify the detail of the windows. I think that we can negotiate that the time that the building permit application is submitted, as long as there are some type of windows to just sort of reduce essentially not having a big blank wall facing the street. So we did speak with the owner on site, and he was receptive to putting windows in the garage on that side.
Can you hear me at all, Christina?
Yes, is this Rick?
Yes, it is. Morning.
Morning, Rick.
Morning.
When I spoke to Christina and the other lady that visited the site, I have no problem working with the planning department in the design on how the garage actually looks. I have no problem with that at all. And also along the front, you can see where all the hedges are. Like you actually won't even be able to see the face of the garage right now, but I do understand that, you know, due to Hydro One wires there, that in time that will probably have to come down. So I will definitely work with the planning department on any design on the front face of the garage.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the committee?
No, no.
Are there any other comments or questions from the public, including the applicant? None. Further, it's been recommended that we approve this with the requirement that there be windows on the south side facing King Street West, without specifying how many windows or the size. Does anyone have any concerns or questions about that?
No, none.
All right. Then I would ask for a motion to approve this application with the conditions that have been recommended. Aaron?
I'll move to motion to approve the application with the condition that it include windows on the south side.
Thank you, Aaron. And second?
Dave.
And all in favor? Passed. Unanimous. Thank you very much, everyone. I would ask now for a motion to adjourn.
I can do that.
Thank you, David. And
Second.
Second, Aaron, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care,
Thank you.
guys.
Hi.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take care.